Hello and welcome to another Monday episode of Addiction Recovery Hope, capital HOPE, and resources. I'm going to share this on my page and then we're going to get to rocking and rolling here. Hold tight. Today we'll be talking about step 11, which is in the LDS Addiction Recovery Program. It is seek through prayer and meditation to know the Lord's will and to have the power to carry it out. And in the AA program, it is sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. I'm going to introduce our guest today in a minute. It's someone that is really close to me. Actually, the closest person in the world to me is my wife, Tammy Cherry, and she's going to share about her story and where she's been and how she got to where she's at, and hopefully we'll bring, like we always try to, hope to someone. First off, I want to say this is week 11, and we have reached over 16,000 people in 11 weeks, and actually 9 of them really, because the 2 weren't really, the technology was down, so we're like killing it because of our audience, and I'm grateful for that, and it's been a fun ride, and we're going to keep going. We're going to bring on resources like people that specialize in depression or suicide or I mean, we'll get out there. We'll do some fun stuff. But I'm going to turn the time over to my beautiful wife, and she's going to start off with a joke here, and she's been planning this joke forever. So, Tammy, take it away.
Okay, this is bribery. So I've been begging for other people to say this joke, and nobody would say it. And so I told him if I was going to come on the show that he would have to let me say this joke. And since it's a classical station, then I think it's appropriate. So how come Beethoven got rid of all of his chickens?
Why, Tammy?
Well, because all they did was balk, balk, balk.
She tells that joke to everyone everywhere she goes, and like I don't think one person's laughed, but she sure gets a kick out of it.
Well, and it's an appropriate joke for...
It is perfect. I'm so happy you shared that.
Thank you.
Well, tell us where you've been. Tell us about your story and how many years clean you are, and how you affected your family and where things have gone.
So this October will be 14 years, and my journey began on October 17th of 2005, and I think when Heston wrote in the post that it was definitely a miracle, it is a miracle. My addiction began very young. My first cigarette was at 12 years old, and then I graduated to weed when I was 13.
Graduated.
Graduated to meth when I was just barely 14. I was in my first rehab at 15 years old. That was actually right here in St. George, Utah. And I think that from there, y'all, I have such a long story. I don't know where to begin.
Start from wherever you want.
Well, let's just say that meth was my choice.
Your DOC.
Yeah,
drug of choice.
My DOC. I moved a lot when I was young. I think that I had a low self-esteem. It was hard for me to make friends. So for me to make friends, I think that I always chose the group that would accept me.
Sure.
And it always seemed like the smokers or the druggies were the most friendliest.
It was easier to fit in with them. They accepted you, like you said.
Exactly. And so when I jumped into that crowd. It just seemed like that's where I fit in the most.
Yeah.
When I tried meth for the first time, I felt like I had a voice for the very first time. I didn't know that it would take me to the levels that it took me. And this is where
I knew I'd tear you up today. I knew it.
I didn't know that meth would ruin my life by trying it one time.
Yeah, at 14, how do you think of those consequences?
You don't.
Yeah.
I thought that it would be, I didn't think about the consequences. I thought that it was the coolest drug on earth.
Yeah.
It made me feel tall. It made me have a voice. It made me feel good. It made me noticeable. It made me have a lot of friends at the time. Slowly, it started taking away everything that it gave me. It started taking away the self-esteem that I didn't have. It gave me. Then it slowly took it away. Like I said, the first rehab that I was in was 15 years old.
Yeah. How many rehabs did you go to?
Over my span of addiction, I've been 5, 6, at least. A lot.
Yeah. Did you learn some every time, or did you? What was the point where you finally said, I guess keep going with your story, because you got to talk about the jail.
And I've been in jail quite a few times. So over the course of my years of addiction, I think you I don't know, I get so confused. Not
No, you're
confused,
fine.
but it's hard to.
It's hard to.
So here you are young. You find this new self of who you are with this drug. Then you gain all these friends. Then you realize they're not your friends.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Are they really your friends?
They're not your friends.
And you think they're like the only people. You think at the time you think those people are going to be in your life forever, right?
Yep. Then you're locked up in a rehab.
And they're not calling you.
They're not calling
They're
you.
not writing.
They're not writing. Then you get out of rehab. And then you're scared for a while. You're scared straight.
Yeah.
Then you start the process all over again. You want to do good, but then you don't have those friends, so you start all over again because those friends start creeping back into your life. And that was a process. I mean, many years I did that.
Yeah.
And then I got married, married young, had kids, ended up losing my girls, had two girls, lost one baby at 5 months old, and lost her to the grandparents, lost my other daughter to her father, and ended up getting one daughter back and haven't got the other one back. Been working on building a relationship, trying.
Yeah.
And
we've been praying for years.
Praying for years to get that door open.
And it's opening.
It's opening. And I ended up, after years of doing rehabs, just being sick and tired. Finally, in 2005, I went to my last rehab, and we don't have enough hours of the show for me to explain the miracle that got me into that rehab, but it was a miracle.
Yeah.
I went to Mount Pleasant, Utah, to a rehab called Matter. Wonderful program with Janie and Linda, two wonderful ladies that ran this program. And I ended up, which at the time probably wasn't a good thing, but it ended up being a wonderful thing. I got pregnant, and that ended up being my why.
Yeah.
And I ended up having Riker, and I've been sober ever since.
You sure have. It isn't that funny though that you had a mixed rehab? I think they frown upon that nowadays, but
I think they do, but I think that this is where the miracle came in.
it's what you needed.
It's what I needed at the time because
You had burned every bridge with every bit of your family.
I had burned every bridge with every part of my family at the time.
You didn't have a place to go?
I didn't have a place to go. And my mentality in my head, which, mind you, I was coming off of drugs, I was in a rehab, and my mentality was, okay, I don't have nowhere to go. Here I am on probation. I have nowhere to stay. I'm going to come out of this rehab. Nowhere to go. I'm going to go back to the streets. I'm going to mess up.
Going to prison.
I'm going to go to prison.
You were accepting that.
I was
You had accepted that.
I had accepted that.
You even got a tattoo that says it.
I even got a tattoo that said USP.
Yes.
Because I was going to put my inmate number
Yeah.
when I got to the point of the mountain. I was persistent. I was going to go to that point of the mountain.
Sure. Then Riker comes.
Then I found out that I was pregnant. And that was a miracle. Because then I was able to go with family, and I got out of the state, and I was able to go away and to start fresh.
Yeah.
Had I
Your family accepted you. That said, come and let's raise the baby.
Yep. Come up.
We're going to help you.
We're going to help you get a fresh start.
One more time.
Yep.
After how many times?
Lots.
But this time it was it.
Yep.
And you had determined, and your brother and your mother and your stepfather helped you, and
I had to pay off my fines in Utah. My brother had to help me pay off my fines.
yeah, you owned what do you call that?
Interstate compact.
Interstate compact.
And I had to get with my probation officer and make sure that it was possible to go out of state.
But it's what you needed. It was the only way you could do it, because everything you knew was drugs and those people.
Yep. And I was so tired, and I'd been wanting to quit for so long, but I just needed a way to do it. And I couldn't do it any other way.
No. That's wonderful.
Now I'm not saying go and get pregnant
yeah,
for
right.
anybody. So that's a disclaimer. Don't go get pregnant.
Well, don't do what we do. That's the disclaimer. Don't do what we did. That's our whole story.
But for me, that's what helped me.
Yeah.
So.
We go up and stay with your dad a lot in Morgan, Utah. And it cracks me up every time every time he tells the same story. He looks at Tammy, he looks her in the eyes, he said, Tammy, you would be telling me something and I knew you were lying, but I wanted so bad to believe you. I wanted to believe you, but I knew you were lying, Tammy. And they've grew a wonderful relationship that's fun to watch now. And her and her mother and his stepfather, which is her dad too. We just have two dads, but and her stepmom, who has always been a supporter. Everyone's close. Like your family's weird, like closer than mine, which is weird because you guys tell each other weird stuff. That my family's just like, how you doing? Oh, good. How you doing? Oh, it's been a year.
Yeah,
We're like, that's about us. But your guys are calling each other. What'd you have for lunch?
Yeah, we tell everything. We call each other all the time, and we tell each other everything.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yep.
So, let me ask a few more questions. How long did it take to make your amends?
Oh my goodness.
So you're in Alaska 8 years.
Okay, so 8 years. So I'm up there, and it took, and I feel now, it took me about 8 years. I feel like I paid back society.
And your fines?
And my fines. I don't owe nobody money. I pay taxes.
You've proven sobriety
I've proven
long term.
sobriety. And I always say to people that I believe there is an expiration date on paying back society. I
Yeah.
don't feel like you have to, you know, you can feel guilty, but you don't have to feel guilty forever.
Nah, you got to let it go.
You got to let it go.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when you pay off your fines and you pay back your family, you know, and you live right for so long, you have to let it go. I don't feel like, you know, I've been sober for so long.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I still, like you said, I have a healthy fear of my past.
Yeah, I learned that from Brian.
Yeah. I still have a healthy fear that I am, what do you say, one bad choice away, you know,
Throwing it all away.
from throwing it all away. But I don't know anybody anymore because that was my past.
Right.
And today, I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
You know, I've made up for all the bad things I've ever done
Yeah.
by continuing on my sobriety.
Yeah.
I do good things. I don't do anything bad.
I still question if you're on drugs because you were with me. but
Right?
but I know you're not. I know your prescriptions.
Right?
But let's talk a little bit about step 11 and seek through prayer and meditation and know the Lord's will and to have the power to carry it out. But I want you to first tell, when you moved to Utah, you were going to hair school and you were bringing your two kids, Marissa and Riker, and you were going to start anew and you were never going to go to church again.
Mm-hmm.
So hear it. Let's hear
crazy.
it.
So the whole time I'm up in Alaska, I'm going to church and I'm doing it for my kids. And
Drinking coffee, though.
Yeah, drinking coffee.
But that's okay.
Yep, that's fine. Drinking coffee. I'm going to church. And then when I moved to Utah, my neighbor, well, first off, I moved to Utah and I'm doing what big girls do, okay?
Yeah.
I'm a mom.
Going to school.
I moved here with my two kids. I'm going to school.
Not going to church.
I'm not going to go to church. And my neighbor is in the scouting program.
Sarah Kuby.
And Riker was in Scouts in Alaska. And Sarah, she's Mormon, and she's in the scouting program. And she's like, hey, neighbor, I'm in the scouting program. Your boy looks about the age of Scouts. You've got to come to church. And I'm like, oh, no. And then my grandma, she's like, Tammy, just promise me you'll go to church.
The first week.
Yeah, that first week. So now I got two people telling me to go to church.
And you're thinking, this is Utah. Everyone's going to judge me for my tattoos.
And I'm thinking my tattoos. And so then I went to church that first Sunday.
Yeah.
And then there's you.
Right.
And you passed the sacrament.
Yeah.
And
40 years old.
Yeah, you passed the sacrament, and I don't know what it was, but there was like that twinkle in the eye.
And I couldn't get divorced. I was still trying to get divorced for 2 years.
And there was something about you.
I was cute.
You were cute.
Yeah.
And you probably poisoned.
And I do laundry.
And you poisoned something in those cups.
Right.
The sacrament. And then something just felt right. You know, and everybody in that church, we had our bishop at the time was Bishop Perry.
Yeah.
And nobody that day looked at me or looked at my kids. Everybody was beyond nice. Yeah. And so everyone was going to be rude. Everyone was going to be judgmental Mormons. All of my thoughts were wrong. And I'm like,
now I got to go again week 2.
Yeah. So, and then I had that, well, here I am on my own, and, responsible moms take their kids to church.
Nah.
This is what they do, you know?
Even the ones that don't, though. There's a lot of responsible moms that don't take their kids to church.
Yeah, but I'm thinking,
this is your thinking.
This is my thinking.
Church of Tammy.
Like, Tammy, I just can't move, and then, and so then we went back, and then we started making friends. And it just kind of snowballed into a greater, bigger.
And you showed up at my doorstep with pumpkin pie makings, and we made pie, and we've been together ever since. 51 days, you married me.
Yeah.
We didn't take much time.
No, we didn't.
We knew we loved each other. So Tammy, tell me. So you've grown you were never gonna go to the temple, but we'll get. I mean, I'm not trying to go down this, but I'm trying to bring hope into. To a new way of thinking, a new way of life, a new way. You got to think a different way to succeed in addiction recovery.
If we were to take it to 14 Well, even if we were to go, okay, so 14 years this October 11th. Let's just
Yeah.
back it up.
14 years,
14
guys.
years. And I don't want to
Sober.
count my, my eggs before they hatch, but let's just go back. Take it back 15, 16, 17 years.
Yeah.
If we were to go back.
When you were stealing the cigarettes and running and diving through the car door and the clerk chased you and caught you?
Listen.
When in that era?
No, let's just go back further.
All right.
We don't want to we're talking about the solution.
Okay, not
right?
the problem.
Not
right.
the problem. If we were to go back 20 years, 15 years, and you were to be walking and you were to see me on the streets.
Yeah.
And you were to see me, you would have never thought that it would be possible to see me where I am today.
Yeah.
You would have looked at me and you would have thought that I would be a lost cause. And I guess what I want to spread today is that there's hope.
There's definitely hope.
And there's that tear again.
Crying again? Hey, you've been crying a lot lately,
I know.
and you never cry.
I think it's that hormone. But I guess what we want, with this show,
Yeah.
is that you never want to give up hope.
Yeah.
Because nobody in my family had hope.
Yeah.
They thought that I was.
They were waiting for that phone call that you were dead.
Yes. And they didn't have the hope that I would ever succeed.
Yeah.
And so when your family members lose that hope.
Pretty lost. But that was your foundation.
Yeah. So just to see that people do change.
Yeah. Don't give up.
Don't give up.
So we served a 2-year mission
Yeah.
at the Purgatory Jail, and
we got to go into jail without doing something bad.
yeah, and we got to leave an hour later, hour and a half. Tammy's favorite thing was to say, "I got to go to jail, and I got out the same within an hour."
Within an hour and a half, we got to go and leave on our own free will.
Yeah, you hear those heavy doors slamming behind you, and you see the inmates pushing down the trays of food stacked 20 high, and the girls come in humble, and we sit there and we have a meeting, and what a special experiences that was to be able to do with you.
Yeah. And those girls in there are the most humble girls, because you'll never be able to go into a jail and meet with girls that are so broken.
Yeah.
And so pure.
All of them that have kids.
And they all, the ones that go to the meetings, there's a lot of them that go in there, and there's a handful that go to the meetings just to get out of the pods.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of them that are so broken and just so lost.
No family.
A lot of them have families. A lot of them have families but have given up hope.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And a lot of them are so happy that they're in jail because they know that they're getting fed.
Yeah.
And they're safe. And
One of the weirdest, scariest parts was when the girls would say, "I'm get out in 3 days," and we were all happy for them, and they're like,
"No,
I'm scared.
Yeah, because
I'd rather stay."
Yeah.
That's what they're saying.
At least while they're in jail, they know they're getting their food and they're getting their bed and they're warm. Because the moment, they don't have to make that choice, but that moment that door opens, and they mean well in jail, but the moment that door opens, they can't make that choice for them because that drug.
Yeah.
They want to make a good choice, but that drug.
They have every intent.
Yeah, that drug's far greater.
Yeah.
Than them.
A lot of them get out and say, the joke in the jail is if you make it to the top of Hurricane Hill before you're already drinking or high.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's true.
But I'll tell you what, there's a lot of success stories that have come out of that jail, and I'm friends with so many of them. You're friends with so many of them. I went out there for 3.5 years, and I got relationships with those girls, and they are amazing. You've seen them.
Yeah. They've
changed their lives just like you have, and you're doing it in this world. You're working just like you work harder than me, I think. But so, Tammy, where are you with prayer and meditation? Is it important?
Absolutely.
Do we pray every night?
Yes, we do with our kids.
Yeah, trying to set that example, right? Do you get down on your knees and pray?
Okay, are you trying to call me out on the radio? Okay.
All right,
Okay, this is accountability. This isn't that step.
Oh yeah, that's step 9 or 8, 10. All right,
Okay,
you're
so
right.
I need to get down on my knees and pray more often.
And you do, but Not as often as you should.
Not as often as my husband.
I- hey, the other one was so I can get you crying. Let's tell everyone. Let's make it public. Who does the laundry in the house?
Okay.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Don't answer that. Don't incriminate yourself. Then everyone's gonna feel bad for me.
Wait a minute. We could start with I started doing the laundry.
Yeah.
But because I didn't fold the laundry in the right manner, who took over the laundry? That's an OCD thing.
That could be true. There could be some truth to that.
And I didn't put it away in the right time frame.
Wow.
I mean, a couple days on the
All
counter.
right, enough. Just kidding. So for me, in my life, I didn't pray. The only time I prayed in my addiction for 25 years was what they call foxhole prayers of, Lord, if you get me out of this, I'll never do it again. And then I went to a Christian church, which was an amazing church, and I would love to go back to that church when I'm up north and visit on a Sunday. It's amazing. But that's where I started praying to God and to my God, and then I kind of got a relationship going, but it just wasn't the same because I was still using, and I had to have accountability, and then now I pray a lot. I pray every morning when I get up. You see me go in the closet.
And
I
comes
pray.
out. He comes out too.
How long ago? Oh, that's funny. That was no pun intended. But I pray every night in the closet, and I pray with my children. We each say a prayer every night, and I pray in the day. I have a constant prayer in my heart, and I think that's how I stay away from doing bad things and going down bad roads. That was funny, Tony.
I know.
But I think it's important, and I don't know the AA. If they don't pray to God, I think they've got to find that meditation, yoga, out in the wilderness, going for a jog, finding that athletic thing that you really dig or whatever. But prayer and meditation and or probably because we don't care. We always say that we don't care if you go to the LDS church. We don't care if you're not right there with God, as per se we are with this, God the Father, Jesus Christ the Son, and the Holy Ghost. But that's what we believe. But you know what? Their God is their God, and that leads to sobriety.
Absolutely.
And that's what we want, is people to recover and to be able to share the message of hope and forgiveness and moving on past to a better way of life. I mean, how many people have you seen since you've been out here? We've been married over 3 years, sorry.
Oh my goodness, we're
Hey,
going on 3.5
almost
years.
4 years. What, we go dog years, so we're like 26 right now.
Almost 30 something.
Now,
Yep.
7 years dog. One year's a dog, 7. Jeez, woman.
Then 3 times 7 would be almost 28.
21.
Okay, I'm not good in math.
Yeah, you never have
Okay.
been. But you graduated high school. You went and got your diploma.
Yes.
At what was it?
Yes.
What's
So,
it called? Hair school? Or
at
what do you guys
Heritage.
call it?
I went to Heritage Hair School.
Yeah, what is it called though? Your degree thing.
My secondary education. So
Yeah, but it's called
diploma, an actual diploma.
of what though?
Oh, my hair. I'm a cosmetologist.
Cosmetology. There you
Yeah,
go.
I cut
Yeah,
hair.
important
that.
stuff. Only
Yes.
took you a year and a half.
Well,
Part time.
2 years.
Who are we kidding?
Yeah, it took me
But
like,
you finished.
yes, I did it.
You stuck to it.
I did it. I only wanted to quit twice, but you know what? I did it,
Yeah,
and I got my degree, and I'm licensed. I'm a professional.
you are, and you do
Mhm.
very well at it, and you help the elderly,
Yes.
and that's what I think I admire
That was
most.
my goal from the beginning.
And you
Yes.
always said I would do it for free, and
Yep.
and now you go to work 10 hours a day on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and you say it doesn't even feel like work, and that
No.
is something that I admire about you, honey, and I'm grateful that you came on the show with me today. I thank you. Finally, I've been asking you for 11 weeks, and you finally gave in because you had a migraine and didn't know I was
Yeah.
making a post, but you're a good sport,
Thanks,
and
babe.
I'm proud of you, and I love you.
Hey, what?
And
Oh, I was gonna say I love you on the air. Say it really loud.
I love you.
Thanks, babe. I love you too.
And we will talk to you guys. See you next Monday, and we'll be on step 12. And I think Katie Decker's going to join me. I got to ask her again, but to make sure. And then we got another episode after that that's going to be fun. We're going to have fun with that and with a guy named Mark, and we'll keep going. We'll have fun and keep going. And we appreciate you guys tuning in, sharing, liking. We've reached over 16,000 people. How cool is that? It's awesome. Have a good one.